Hey, this is Ben Wilson with Blues Traveler, and you're listening to the Midwest Mixtape Podcast. That's a lot of M's, everybody, but it rocks.
Hi, and welcome to the Midwest Mixtape Podcast, live from the Barn Studios in Southeast Missouri. You got the Mox and Todd here, and we're joined online right now with Ben Wilson from Blues Traveler. Ben, how are you, man?
What's up, dudes? Man, I'm just admiring your setup there. It's a lot better than this crappy hotel room art that I got back here. And, I'm sitting on this old couch. I'm not going to tell you all the stains that are on it. We don't need to get into that.
No.
I can't even see you right now. So I'm just picturing that you're on a beach somewhere with like a drink.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Scratch everything I just said. I'm sitting
Chad
next to
can see
the
you.
dog.
Well, that's the cool thing about Zooms, I guess. You can just change your background and be wherever you want.
Well, as you guys witnessed, as I was trying to get online and hear what you were saying, getting to trying to change my background is way advanced for a guy like me at this stage of the game.
Hey, thanks for joining us, though. We're excited. September 20th at the St. Louis Music Park in St. Louis, Missouri, celebrating 30 years of the album 4. And we all know the hits, and you've played the hits a million times over, but we're getting a little bit deeper on 4 on this tour, I guess.
Yeah, we when it comes to kind of celebrating an album, we'll go through and we'll try to hit them all every night, but we don't always get to each of the songs. But over the course of the tour, in addition to the hits, which, as you said, we play all the time, we dig into some of the ones that we don't get to much, in a typical show or like during a summer tour where we're on with a bunch of bands. You don't play as long, so there's just not as much time to draw from some of your catalog. And it's fun, although it's a challenge, too, because 30 years ago is a long time. And some of these songs we don't play very much. Wait, what chord is that? And wait, what riff is? No, that's not what you played. I swear that's what I played, and all that. It's fun.
Do you enjoy the longer set lists? Because, obviously as a musician, you do enjoy what you do. But at the same time, those shorter ones like, hey, cool, we can get in, get out, especially during the summer when the heat's just kind of blasting you. Those lights are on there.
It's true. There's something exciting about playing in the summer and you're outside, 8:30, 9 o'clock, you go on, the sun just went down and people are ready to have a good time. It's, easy breezy. And you just kind of come in and hit people in the face with all the hits and a couple of the covers that we do that a lot of our fans really like. And then when you get into the fall, there is more like that theater vibe or just a different kind of way of going about it where you feel like you're the head, it's just you. It's an evening with typically, or maybe just an opening band that's touring with you. That's not a national act necessarily. And you can, if you feel like you can dig in a little deeper. We came out of that jam tradition too, where, we used to play 2.5, 3 hour sets. And over the course of time, we've kind of leaned more into more of the pop hit side of things that, really is what gave us legs to have this really, really long career.
Yeah, how much does improvisation still play a part in what you guys do? Because early on, it was a big part of what you guys did. Then the hits came along and people had an expectation, but I'm sure there's still some of that there.
Definitely. We used to definitely be a jam band. And then as a jam band that always focused kind of on songs, because a lot of jam bands these days, it's super cool music, but it's not really song oriented in sort of the quote unquote pop way. And so we would focus on songs but also jam out throughout the sets. And then, like you said, when the hits came along, it brought in a little different kind of a crowd. But we still love to play. And, John, being not only a great singer, is just a phenomenal harmonica player, and people are paying to see him do his thing. So we've kind of turned into a jam band that rocks and has songs to kind of a rock band that jams. And we'll you know what I mean? Like we'll play songs and then we'll rock out, going from song A to song B to song C. So there'll be these long segues, but it's not like, Humphreys McGee or some of these, or Mo or some of these other bands that are just really, really, really jam heavy and super cool. It's just, we don't do that anymore.
Now when you were having issues getting like logged on here doing this interview, so I also kind of have issues with technology and like I'm a musician as well. And I don't know if you can speak on like, there's just so much new gear out there that I'm like, dude, I don't even know. Cause back in my day you had an amp, maybe like a Boss distortion pedal and you were fine. you were good to go. So like, how does that change with you over the course of 30 years, playing it, especially when keyboards are electronic as it is? How do you transition into the new era with new technology?
Well, some of us in the band have really jumped in. Our bass player has really mastered, those pedal boards that have all the effects in them, those multi effects pedals like Line 6 and
Yeah.
another one whose name I can't remember. And he will spend hours and hours going over each little delay and distortion. And we'll be on stage at sound check, and he's checking with our front of house guy. Hey, what is it? And as a result, he it's really cool what he can add. I still play a Hammond B3. I have a clavinet, which is the Stevie Wonder thing, and I have an old a Moog synth, which is digital, but it's a remake of the old school sounds. And then I have one delay pedal and a wah wah. So I might not be the guy to ask.
Okay. Now that can also transition into like, with AI, a lot of people, especially people without any musical talent, can now just kind of come in, and maybe even like buy a keyboard and then, hey, I can make these arpeggios with one hit, or now I can just go to AI, write me a song with lyrics. And it's just, how is AI good? Is AI bad? How do you feel on that kind of?
Oh boy. I mean, I think AI is going to turn out in so many other things to just be a tool, and you're going to need people, the human touch, to kind of oversee the tool, to direct it, and when it comes to creativity, it's hard for me to believe that AI is ever going to be Bob Dylan or Taylor Swift or John Popper. It's just hard for me to believe. It's certainly not going to happen in my lifetime. And AI informs nothing about the kind of music that I do. Occasionally, when I'm recording at home, they have some of these tools now where you can use AI to make something sound, like a 60s amp or a 80s sound or a vocal sound or drum sound. Maybe in the studio it's a little bit more relevant right now, but from where I'm sitting, it doesn't worry me in terms of a creator, because I think it'll start to become a tool like so many other tools have been used in music over the years.
You mentioned your gear and the Hammond and the Moog. That just fills that sound, like completes that sound totally. And with John being a harmonica player, he's taking a lot of the leads a lot of the times, which requires you to maybe step back a little bit, and the guitar player to step back a little bit. Where do you see your role kind of in all that?
You just nailed it. Exactly. That's exactly when I came into the band, and really backing up, feeling in the spaces, evening out the edges, not too much, because I think of bands that I like to listen to are ones that got some sharp edges and some angles that maybe are like, whoa, because it's out. But and then so there's that, just kind of the meat and potatoes, big fluffy chords for on the organ behind solos. What Chan and I, our guitar player, talk about is, as soon as John's done, you got to be able to step up and do your thing for that period of time so that the crowd stays engaged. It can't, because any one artist is going to be even as good as John. People want to get a little bit break so you can come back and hear him rock out and be impressed all over again. So
when you guys go on tour and, you're going from town to town, now how does your daily lives kind of change? Like, so I'm thinking, like, how are you guys doing laundry? Like are there washer dryers like on your bus? Do you have do you have a designated, like, hey, we're going to perform tonight, you got to go to the laundromat, here's some quarters?
The logistics.
Yeah, like,
right?
How what do you eat? Do you have like, what's your favorite meal on the road? How do you do all these things? But I'm very curious about the laundry.
Yeah, the laundry is actually, it's funny because you're not the first person to ask that question, but it's actually quite easy. Most of the venues, particularly in the summer when we're playing out amphitheaters and bigger places, have laundry. Almost any hotel has a laundry. So, you hope what you do is you hope you stay on top of it well enough so that you don't end up with the undies that you wore last night at the show and that's your last pair. So you got to stay on top of it, bro. You got to be organized.
I bet in winter you can maybe recycle some clothes a little bit more during the summer time. Like, what's your favorite meal on the road? Like, are you resorted to the fast food, or I mean, are you allowed to like, like how if you're wanting to be healthy, how do you do that? Especially, in today's day and age where everything is just so, chemical, chemical, chemical. How do you and that's fine too, because nothing beats a good McDonald's fries, but
Nothing.
yeah. So how do you eat on the road?
As I've gotten older, I just make more of an effort to find, protein bars and things like that. Up your protein, down, keep your carbs low, what everybody talks about now.
Sure,
And
sure.
just try to stay away from the junk food every once in a while. I mean, it used to be pizza every night after the show, or Italian food or chicken parms, and you're just housing something and collapsing in your bunk and waking up the next morning feeling awful. But nowadays we do make more of an effort. There's not as much after show food. Most of the places that we play, particularly in the summer, have some kind of catering. So, if you want to pay attention to it, you can, and I do, but you don't have to. You know what I mean? There's plenty of opportunity, like you said. You drive to work every day. Just imagine that's us on the tour bus, and hey, somebody go out and get some sandwiches or some fries or whatever. So my big thing is every couple weeks you gotta mow down on some good pizza. That's my thing.
Absolutely, man.
You guys have played all over the world at this point. Is there a favorite setting that you guys have or venue? Obviously, you've played the Red Rocks and the Ryman's and all these special places. Is there a certain type of show or a certain venue that you're more appealed to than some of the others?
Well, it's hard to beat Red Rocks at this point for us because it's a big place. They love us in Colorado. We've had a great support there for our whole career from the very beginning. And we play there every 4th of July. And it's kind of become this really cool tradition. My dad almost jokes, he's like, it's almost like your work picnic too, because all of the families come and the kids come. We've watched them go from being born to, finishing college and starting careers and getting married. And it's really just a wonderful all around experience, that it being outside on those days. And, but also then nothing beats something like the Ryman, where it's a slightly small space. It's very enclosed, and you just really feel connected to the audience in a way that, as great as Red Rocks is, sometimes if there are 9 or 10,000 people there and you're looking way up at the top, you don't necessarily feel as connected to them as you do when you're looking out in the Ryman at the first row of the balcony or something like that.
Do you have like a favorite venue that you've always wanted to play, but you've just never gotten to? Like maybe it's overseas, or just maybe even just within the United States. You're just like, man, I've always wanted to play there, but never seemed to happen for whatever circumstance.
I joined the band a little later, and the band played Madison Square Garden at the height of Four's success. And
Yeah.
I'm a little sad that I wasn't there for that, but alas, things are still good. I'll survive. I might have to call BetterHelp.com right there behind you just to get through this. But
That's awesome. I think mine would have been CBGB's.
Oh yeah.
Back in the day.
Well, I tell you, brother, we did play there. Actually, it was awesome.
Oh man, yeah.
It was super cool. You're right. That was the jam. That was really cool.
That's cool, man.
Does the history of the place matter to you guys? I mean, I'm sure that maybe that's a dumb question, but the history, do you kind of try to take it all in? Like even the Ryman's been around since what, like the 30s, I think maybe.
I don't remember how long it's been there, but it's been there forever. And yes, it does matter to us. It matters. Red Rocks matters. All these places that we go. There's a place called Cane's in Tulsa where,
Also, yeah,
it was
Cane's
an old,
Ballroom.
kind of honky tonk. We played somewhere else recently, but of course, now that I'm thinking about it, I can't think of the name. But yes, it does matter to us, and we're always honored to play those places, and it feels cool. You feel like you're a part of something. Music is such a weird deal because, like, I don't know, it might be the same for you guys. You finish a show and you're like, okay, there's the show. It's like, what do it's not like a job. It's necessarily where at the end of a 9, or, I used to do construction work to pay bills before I was making music. And at the end of the day, you could say, hey, I built that wall, or I ran that wire. And it's just, sometimes it's hard to really know where to put yourself in this kind of business, in this entertainment business. And so you look for those kinds of things to say, oh man, this is awesome. Look what I get to do.
Join here with Ben from Blues Traveler, coming into town September 20th, St. Louis Music Park in St. Louis, Missouri. celebrating 30 years of four. We're looking forward to having you in town. Know your time's limited, so we only got a couple more for you, Ben, but enjoying this conversation. And
Me too.
I've heard in some interviews or maybe some YouTube videos, there's this conversation about Runaround or Hook being your most popular song. Now, I have an opinion on it. What is yours?
Hook's my favorite. It's to me, I don't know. I think Runaround, we just got beat in the face with it for, all those years, and you just can't get away from that damn song. And I go into my HEB in Austin, Texas, where I live, and there's that damn song. And, and Hook, although everybody knows it almost as much as Runaround, there's something about it that feels a little less poppy, maybe less sheen.
And that would be my choice as well. I was actually surprised when some people were saying Runaround was your biggest hit. And I know there's like numbers to back it up or whatever, but the irony and the genius of Hook and the lyrics and John's lyrics in that song, it's incredible art. It's incredible lyrics in that song, and to put it in together into one of your most popular songs is just there's such irony there.
Yeah, it really was one of his best works, I think. Runaround was a bigger hit in the if you want to measure it by numbers and weeks on the chart and getting the Grammy nod and all that stuff. But in terms of, like you said, the art, maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it that strikes me, is it just feels very artistic in the way that, not only that, but he borrowed the chords from Pachelbel's Canon, which is one of this incredible, you hear the people do that for their wedding march, you know what I mean? And to put it all together and kind of make fun of the music industry, but at the same time, understand that you gotta live by those rules. It was really quite genius. I agree.
Well, Ben, one last question for me. Who is your one musician of all time you would love to jam with, dead or alive? Who would it be? And you don't have to start up. You could just be hey, I'm just going to come in here and jam with
Jimi Hendrix.
Jimi Hendrix. Awesome. Okay.
Yeah. That would have been, I could list. I got to play with Dr. John one time. He was old. He came up on stage. He played, and then we played after him, which was just, as far as I'm concerned, sacrilege, because he's Dr. John and I'm not. But and he came up and sat in with us, and he's been one of my heroes forever.
Yeah, absolutely. Ben from Blues Traveler, thanks so much for joining us today. We're going to be catching you September 20th at St. Louis Music Park, and we're hoping Todd can do some photography on that. That'd be cool.
I would love to do that.
Come on, Todd. Don't sit in that man cave. Don't sit in that man cave all day. Get out and have some fun, brother.
We're going to.
I'm on my way. Be ready.
Okay. All right. I hope to see you guys there, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You guys too.